Welcome to the COG Arcade Showcase, where we get to sit and chat with the gaming community, be it from Game Canadian itself or from other circles in the gaming world. The first showcase was a special one, as there was quite a few technical issues, which in the end, we eventually started calling this the pod crash, because Skype kept on crashing. It created a bit of havoc for the editor as they pieced this thing back together into the episode you're about to hear. If it does sound a little bit wonky in a few places, it's probably a good reason because of the pod crash. So without further ado, on with the show. We have here with me Mr. Switch, otherwise known to some people Rajio and Raj, whatever you want to call him, that guy who's now Xbox Canada to some degree. How about you introduce yourself, Raj, and tell us a little bit about Xbox Canada, what it is.
Well, that was a pretty good introduction already. So, yeah, I'm Mr. Switch on Xbox Live. I'm Xbox Canada's community manager.
What exactly does that really mean? Some people are like, oh, it's a community manager.
Yeah, that's a tricky question. What that basically means is you could think of me as a liaison between the hardcore fans and headquarters. So I take, when you guys complain on the forums and, you're arguing on Twitter or you're really excited about something and going to midnight launches and taking photos and stuff like that, I'm taking that to headquarters so they can see what you guys are excited about and what you guys are talking about, what you guys are angry and concerned about, things like that. I do kind of back and forth communications like that. So just like if you guys have any questions, I can go ask the people at Xbox Canada and find out for you. So that's a large part of it. Another part of it is just like going online, seeing what people are talking about, make sure they have the information they need. For example, there's a lot of rumors going around. Whenever there's a new game, like people don't know when it's coming out, so you make sure they all know.
I'm sure there's a lot of rumors happening right now of the PlayStation 4 announcement, but everybody wants to know what Xbox is coming out with. I'm sure you don't know a whole lot, but as a Xbox Canada guy, what did you think of the PS4 announcement? Even with myself, with the PlayStation 4 announced,
yeah,
I'm still going, I want an Xbox. I want the next one.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing I'm seeing, because, obviously I'm going online and monitoring all the conversations that are going on, and whenever people are talking about the competitors, they're talking about us, which is great. You don't usually see that, right? A lot of these conversations historically tend to be pretty one-sided, but, in the same breath people talk about one, they're talking about the other, so the fact that we haven't shown anything and they're still talking about us is great. We're always looking to compete, like I said, but it's good to see somebody else competing as well, right? So you want somebody to compete with, you want someone else to do well, because with the tide rising, all ships rise.
I actually listened to a couple other podcasts as well. One of my favorites to listen to is you've been on already is Old Married Gamers.
Yeah.
Rebranded as OMG Nexus, and they were talking about on their latest podcast, cynics there were saying that Microsoft as a company does better when they're on bottom, when they're fighting to get on top and they come up with all those ideas to make sure that they win. Did you feel, from what you're hearing, that people are like, oh, Xbox is just going to lay down and just take it and just put out a product, or are they actually going to fight for that number one spot still?
From what I've been seeing online, I think everybody's really hungry for that competition, and everyone wants to see a good fight. And all games are fun and all that, but people really want to see something new, and they're excited, and they really want to see change.
And definitely, well, you're a gamer first and foremost. You do Xbox Canada gig now, but as a gamer, what are your hopes for the next generation from Xbox?
I'm not really sure. Usually I love to speculate. I've always done that. I've hated rumors, but I love to kind of brainstorm and stuff like that. But in terms of what I want to see for the next Xbox, I'm kind of more curious what we're going to see for Xbox Live and the service side of things, because prettier in graphics and stuff like that. Okay, fine. I just want to see what new possibilities there are gameplay wise. I remember when there was a jump from the original Xbox to the Xbox 360, for example. Made that jump, and for a while, the first Xbox 360 games, they were good, but for the most part, it was just better graphics, right? The same kind of gameplay, though, that we would see on the original Xbox. And then I remember when I saw Dead Rising, and how many zombies are on screen at one time. And it blew my mind, because that kind of gameplay you could not have got on the original Xbox, right? It was a new experience, and one that I wouldn't have imagined a few years earlier. So I'm really curious what those moments are going to be like going forward.
Well, when I got my 360, I got it actually at midnight launch. I was working at Blockbuster at the time as manager, so I worked at midnight launch. I took my Xbox home, and the first game I played on the 360 was the original Xbox game. It was Halo 2.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people did.
There wasn't a whole lot of new 360 games that I really, really wanted to play, and when Blockbuster was around, I could rent video games for free, but you had to wait 3 weeks before you can rent new releases. So I'm like, well, I gotta play something. Halo 2's I could rent for free. I didn't want to spend money on it right away. I just busted out $500 on the 360. So I don't know why I would want to spend another $60 more when I can rent stuff for free. For me, what made my 360 and Xbox Live was when I joined XCL, which you were a member of as well, and it's just that community. What I hope for personally out of the next Xbox is to develop that community even more.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first got my 360, and I got it home, I plugged it in. I didn't know anybody at the time that had one. A lot of my friends were students, and they either weren't gaming at the time, or they're just like, I didn't know they were, because we were all just so busy in our own little worlds, And I got it, as soon as I plugged it in, I got on Xbox Live, I started playing it, and I realized I really need people to talk to, I need people to share those stories with, to play with, to, ask about, like, how do you do this in the game, stuff like that. And one of the first things I did when I got my Xbox was actually hop online and look for an Xbox community. And one of the first ones I found was XCL, which is where I met you, and a bunch of other awesome gamers. We had so many good times after that, right?
Yeah.
I think that's partly how I ended up in this job, too, because, I hop online, I'm getting involved in Xbox communities already, and I've already been a huge gamer all my life, So, community was already really important to me, and here I am managing that same community, which is great.
Yeah, it was awesome, and some of the community members come out to X13. Spring Showcase, they're calling it?
Yep, the X Series Spring Showcase.
So it was nice to see. I think it was 3 years since community members were actually allowed, I shouldn't say allowed, that were actually invited to the event. And even though it was small, it was really, really great. I went for the media portion to cover a little bit for Canadian Online Gamers and spent almost an hour and a half on Tomb Raider off the bat, which was just absolutely amazing. I even even did a little write-up. I don't know if you saw it, but it's up on the front end of the site. I thought it was awesome. But how did you think it went for you, and hoping to have some more events like that in the future?
Honestly, it was a really interesting event. I mean, that's the first real big event that I've had to deal with since I started at Xbox Canada. We were showcasing all the new games coming out this spring, right? And usually spring is relatively quiet for game releases, and I was really excited to see how big this spring looks. Like, March and April are going to be huge for gamers, right? You had Tomb Raider, BioShock, Tiger Woods, Gears of War, Judgment, all those sports apps. There's a couple Xbox Arcade titles that look pretty good. It wasn't as big as some of the previous year's X-Series events because those were held kind of closer to the holiday season. Showcasing all the games that tend to come out around November and all that. And as you know, that's usually a huge, big flood of games, right?
Yeah.
But this being a spring event, it's really exciting to see how not only do we have a lot of games, but they're really good. So, like, people demoing Tomb Raider just sat there and played for half an hour, right? People demoing Gears of War just played, like, just forever. So that everyone from the community said to me at the end of the event, Raj, we only had 2 hours. That wasn't enough time. And to hear that with just a spring launch is great.
I had a little bit more time, but it was even hard for me to get everything in. I didn't even get to play BioShock. I sat with Sean and just watched him play and looked at it. Sometimes it's better to sit back and watch and look at a game because you see a lot more.
Yeah, definitely.
When you're not focused on the gameplay. Quoting myself from my own article, that it's by far probably one of the most beautiful games to come out on the 360 so far. They really, really pushed the technology on that system with that game. It was just crazy awesome. Even Tomb Raider, there's some little things I saw that I could take away from it, like, oh no, my bow and quiver appeared out of the blue, stuff like that. But it's minor things now. But I was really, really impressed with the event. And I liked how cozy it was. There was actually places to sit, which was really, really nice. Because sometimes you go off to little events that they do like this, and you're standing around the whole day looking for chairs and everything.
Yeah, and you get tired pretty quickly, right? Where this one had more of a kind of living room vibe to it.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, right? Seeing how far the consoles this generation have come. Like, you think about the original Gears of War and Gears of War Judgment, and they look so different. It's hard to believe that they're even on the same console.
Gears of War is probably the Achilles heel of gaming for me, because every time I've played a Gears of War, I don't know which one, it gives me motion sickness. I don't know if it's like the art style or just how the controller, me moving it around, makes it work. The last game to do that to me really, really horribly was Doom 64. And
usually the motion sickness thing is caused by the field of view. So it might just be because the third-person game, the field of view is a little wider, and it's moving around a lot more, because in Gears it tends to shake a bit when you're running and stuff like that. I'm going to guess that's probably it.
I used to get motion sick a lot as a kid. I was weird. I would have to read a book while driving. So I didn't get motion sick when I would go away with my family, and they thought that was
because you're concentrating on a fixed point then, right?
Yeah, it is amazing how.
As a gamer, that's heartbreaking, by the way.
Yeah. Are you hoping to? We're talking about X13, hoping to have any more events down the road? Maybe another X13 fall.
If it was up to me, I would have one every season, because I love those events. I love to see the games, and I love to see the community come out. Yeah. It really just depends on what we have lined up for coming out and stuff like that. But those are primarily press events. It gives the press an opportunity to see all the games coming out and kind of get excited all at once about all the games.
I think it'd be smart for them to include community, especially with, let's say, Xbox decides, well, we're not launching our next console this Christmas, and Sony's already said that to hype it up, and they're like, no, you should wait. We're taking our time with this to make sure it's the best for you guys and hype it up that way, which I think would be really, really cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on. The fact that they have a community manager now, namely me, that kind of tells you that they're dedicated to community at this point, right? So really at any events and stuff that we do, my job is to kind of put my foot in the right door and make sure community is a part of it.
Looking at this as a step on the staircase to something more.
If I move on to something, I hope it's something related, because I love what I'm doing right now, and I don't want to change that too much.
Sometimes you just decide, you know what, I need more of a challenge, and you might find a challenge within that company.
I'm kind of interested in that at Microsoft. I mean, they're a pretty big company, let's be honest, right? They're a big company. They're doing a lot of interesting things. I mean, this year especially shows how much they're evolving, right? They released basically new everything this year, so far, or last year at least. New Windows Phone, new Windows.
And Surface.
Yeah, the Surface. I just got one, so.
My wife's like, oh, I want one of those. And I told her this is how much it's going to be. And she's like, okay, maybe not right now. Because it's a pretty expensive piece of hardware.
Yeah, it's not cheap at all. It's basically an Ultrabook. You got to think of it like that, right? So.
Yeah. Well, we've decided if we might invest in, we have our home PC, but we hit a little bit of an Apple bug. We like our Apple products as well as our Microsoft products and stuff like that. So it's just kind of nice to have the variety of operating systems and those tools around. But
yeah, I mean, the thing I found with a lot of Apple products is the things they do really well, right?
Yeah.
But the things they don't do, they absolutely refuse to do. You don't have that flexibility. So if it already does something that you like and does everything you need, then you're fine. I got a keyboard case for my iPad, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as I got that, I both loved and hated it, because having the keyboard case meant I could do so much more. It just meant it was so much easier to type up things on it, and it turned it into a little bit of a laptop. The problem is that it really highlighted the fact that I couldn't do very much on it. It made it so painfully obvious that it wasn't a computer, And so I saw the Surface Pro and I'm like, well, I think that's what I want. I basically just want a laptop, an Ultrabook that is in a tablet form factor. And that's literally what the Surface Pro is, right? So that's why I made that jump. So I sold my iPad, funnily enough, and then used that money to get the Surface. I've only had it a couple of days, so I'm still putting it through its paces.
You'll have to let us know what you think later on. I think it looks like a really pretty cool piece of hardware, but I can't justify spending.
Yeah, it's not cheap like the iPad might be. It's double the price.
Yeah, and with new consoles looming, I gotta save my money for those bad boys. We're talking about all this technology. Are you hoping to be at E3 this year?
I'm hoping to. I mean, from a community manager, a lot of community goes there, and the community that doesn't, I think, would especially like me to go because I can, bring back all the stories and all the news from there.
It was really, really nice when, Jake, one of the previous community managers, would go down and he did all the videos from E3, which was kind of neat. You ever think of doing some videos for the community and maybe get those up on the dashboard like you used to?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's totally a possibility. I've already picked up a camera and microphone, so I can do that. It's just a matter of finding stuff to film and getting it up. Jake, funnily enough, we met at the same place as you and I did.
Yeah.
XCL, right?
It's kind of crazy how everything kind of intertwines all together. It's crazy moving out here to Kitchener-Waterloo area and how many gamers are from this area now.
Yeah.
I met a couple. The Dead Blow, he was at the community event there. Mm-hmm. I met him briefly there as I had to get home to the family here. But Em and I have been talking on Twitter back and forth for a while now. It's nice to meet him, even though it was briefly. John Kesey there, Kesey78 on Twitter as well. He's Xbox MVP. Zyentane's in the area here. Then there's some gamers. Kanuski the Husky. So there's a lot of gamers in the Guelph, Cambridge, Kitchener-Waterloo area, and it's all within a half an hour drive. And it was just kind of coming here. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of gamers here. And it's kind of.
Well, what's funny is I bet you most places you go, there's a lot of gamers, but the value is really when those gamers can connect with each other, And, that's one thing that drew me to XCL, for instance. It was a Canadian Xbox gamer site. I mean, had all the puzzle pieces that I wanted, right? I mean,
yep.
That's why all of us who started off there ended up being super fans, right? And we're still friends to this day, and we're moving on to bigger and better things, right? And you can see in the Kitchener-Waterloo area with you guys connecting, there's so many Kitchener-Waterloo gamers you guys don't even know. And you'd probably get along so well with, And that's what I like. I mean, gaming to me is a social thing, I've got my own gaming site, Delay of Game. We don't just talk about games, but because we have that common interest, we're like-minded. And so we can talk about everything. It's the same with you and all the other guys, I
was going to say, you probably talk about food just as much on Delay of Game as we do games.
Yeah, we got a almost 100 post thread about sandwiches right now that just got started last week.
I only log in about 4 or 5 times a week, so it's not as much as I do some other sites, just time restrictions. But yeah, it's crazy some of the stuff that you read on there that some of the guys go through and all the personalities and things like that. But you're right, it's all about the relationships. Kirby, I have not met the man. I have known him for Xbox and everything.
I think it's 6 years now we've known him.
Yeah. A guy that I could probably phone him up right now and go shit, this just happened. What do you think? And he'd be like, shut up, you're being a pansy or something like that. Being a woman. But, it's good times. And I've met some of the gamers from the community there. I've met Shad and I've met a lot of these guys. There was 20 of them that year. It was Dom and Courtney. And look at Courtney now. She's working for Ubisoft and all. It's crazy at how these.
I know some guys who they play games and they only play single player. They don't talk to anybody about it. They don't socialize at all, right? For me, I'm the opposite. To me, gaming is the most social thing you could do, right? I remember going into games of was it Rainbow Six Vegas, right? We'd have weekly game nights with XCL every Friday. Rainbow Six game nights, and we'd go in and we would do more laughing than playing, it would just be a chat room. It was the most social experience you can imagine. And that to me is what gaming is. That's why the first thing when I got my 360, first thing I did was look up community because it's all about the conversation, those interactions and, meeting people.
We didn't, I didn't get involved in the Rainbow Six stuff. I did some Halo nights with the guys and the Halo nights were just ridiculous. Everybody be up in the tower and they do custom maps and they have a couple turrets on top and everybody's trying to run up there and get the turrets and they're just mowing everybody down and just laughing.
Yeah.
And just,
well, what's funny is even 1 or 2 of the guys would be amazing at whatever game you're playing, right?
Yeah.
So good that those 1 or 2 guys could just beat everybody, no sweat. But at the same time, even though we're losing like crazy, we're having a blast because we're having a blast with our friends, you know. And it would just be a laugh.
Yeah, the Jerv's the guy for Halo. He's like crazy good.
God, yeah, I remember. Didn't he quit for a while?
Yeah.
Because he was too good.
Well, he's come back. He's around. I know he's not on the community as much as he used to be, but I see him in some of the game lobbies with us once in a while. I take it as a compliment from him that when I play Halo against him, he always tries to take me out. I'm not the best.
I like that.
I'm not one of the best players, but I hold my own pretty well.
I kind of think he probably never even noticed when I was in the game. He probably just like mowed me down, just like I was like part of the scenery, you know?
Gangster style.
But yeah, like I remember that we'd play Rainbow Six, and I was one of the better players at Rainbow Six in the group. I would intentionally just hunt people down that I didn't like, or the people that I liked the most actually. I'd hunt them down and basically troll them, you know? Try and get them with some tear gas, kill them with the worst weapon I could think of.
Oh, that's all good times, but
yeah, it makes for a good story afterwards, right?
Yeah, well, we're starting to do some more game nights with Canadian Online Gamers. Taiwan tries to do Monday Night Racing every Monday night. I'm trying to do stuff Friday nights, but work keeps on getting in the way. When my wife goes back to work, I'll have more time for gaming because I'm working 50-hour weeks now, and when she goes back to work, I'll go down to 40-hour weeks, which will be kind of nice, but will free up some more time for gaming. But I'm trying to do, I call it Friday night fragging.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
So,
I'm finding that hard right now, though. It's just getting a regular schedule going for these game nights is tough.
And everybody is just so busy, but if you get the schedules, people will hopefully like, okay, I gotta make it this Friday night. I'm not doing anything this night. I'm going to play Halo. I'm going to play Borderlands 2 and so forth, stuff like that.
That's what's nice when you can schedule it as a regular thing. Like, for example, back to the XCL thing when we did Rainbow Six every Friday. We have guys all across Canada, right? Different time zones. You know, some of the guys were married, some of them were single, so some of them have kids, some of them don't. So they all have very different schedules, right? And because it was every Friday, you knew if you were home and free, you could play, but you didn't always have to be there. There was never one person that was there every time. It would just be whoever was on would get together. They knew that was the thing to do.
Well, with all these games coming out, Raj, what are you most excited for?
Most excited for? Well, let's think.
Top 3 maybe then. Make it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one, man. Well, if I just stick to spring, we'll say there's fewer games coming out this spring, right?
Yeah.
So if I just stick to spring, let's see. I think Tomb Raider.
Tomorrow.
Tomb Raider's gotta be it for me. Yeah, it's tomorrow. I was at the X Series event watching you guys play, and I kept looking at the screen. I was staring at the screen, and I was pretty sad because I went the whole event just running around doing stuff for work, and I never actually got to grab a controller and play it. But it looks so good, I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. So last week I went up to Montreal and I checked out the studio where they did the multiplayer. I got to play a bit of the multiplayer and I loved it. I can't wait to play the single player.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to opening my my crazy $100 edition tomorrow that my wife graciously let me order. It comes with a statue of Lara, and I'm like, oh, so excited. And I got that cool print from the X13 event that I have. Nice.
That's a nice print too. I didn't even get one of those.
What?
See what I do for you guys? Those were all for you. I couldn't take one.
They should have allowed you. Where's the love? Where's the love?
Oh, they allowed me, but I didn't want to deprive you guys of one, right?
I don't know. Goes with the territory, I guess.
Well, tell me this. Do you have a gaming shrine set up in your place? Not the shelf where you keep your games. I'm talking about all your statues and collectibles and posters and all that.
Yes.
Yeah. How big is it now?
On the top of my entertainment unit, I have the Borderlands 2 Vault Hunter's chest. So it comes with a chest, and it comes with a Marcus bobblehead.
Got the whole chest.
Yeah. So there's a smattering of other things in there. There's like a cool little sticker that I want to put on our new car when we get it. It says Minions on board. Or
Nice.
Minion on board. I'm like, that's awesome. I got Assassin's Creed Brotherhood Jester in the box. I got my Assassin's Creed 2 Ezio, Connor, the special edition Connor from Assassin's Creed 3.
All right. Well, I know you're a big Assassin's Creed fan, right?
Yeah.
What do you want them to make for you? In terms of like swag.
I want the one thing I'm missing that I really, really want is an Altier statue, and I'm not willing to spend $500 to get it shipped from Japan. But I want the Black Flag.
You want an actual black flag, eh?
Yeah, you know, like the
Yeah.
pirate flag.
I think that was everyone's reaction to seeing that image. Nobody said, "Hey, cool, oh, awesome, this new game's coming out." Everyone just said, "I want that flag."
And it looks awesome. I'm actually getting an Assassin's Creed tattoo for my birthday in April this year. I was just going to get the logo just on my shoulder, and I'm thinking of getting the one with the skull. That just looks freaking awesome. I actually have it on my desktop right now as the background.
Right. Well, you want to know how good a friend I am to you? I have already told Ubisoft that they need to make a flag like that.
Thank you very much.
I've already put that suggestion in the box, so yep. Hopefully the wheels are in motion. You never know.
They're pretty good at giving their fans what they want.
Yeah,
Like
hopefully.
recently, they came out with the Desmond bag. Like I have the other bag, but people started going, "Whoa, that's way too much money." It's something like $89.99. They're like, people started like getting mad at them. What do you mean that's $90? The other bag's $100, and you're charging $90 for this. And they listened and they dropped it $10. And it goes, we understand that you feel this is too much money to pay for this product. So we're dropping it off $10. But remember, we have to make money to kind of take home to our families. We are a business.
Yep.
And I thought that was really, really awesome of them to do that.
Well, in their defense, that Assassin's Creed bag is pretty high quality. Like, I've gotten swag before and it's okay. This bag, I think even without the Assassin's Creed logo, I probably would have bought because it's decent quality. Like, it's tough. What does Desmond do as a day job? Does he have one? What's his income like, do you think?
Well, storyline-wise, he was a bartender.
Okay, so I don't know if he can afford a $90 bag.
No, but he from what I remember, his dad wanted him to be an assassin, but he's like, screw that, I'm not doing that, and he just went off and did whatever. And that's how Abstergo got a hold of him. And I'm really excited for the new game because it's, from storyline wise, I'm not sure if this is true or if it's just a rumor. I was hoping that they would say, Desmond's not dead. Desmond's actually spoiler alert for people who haven't beat Assassin's Creed 3. That it appears that Desmond may have died. I was hoping they bring him back and he has to fight even more. Not to ruin it for other people more further than I already have. That he'll come back and he has to learn something about Edward Kenway to help him fight this new battle.
But just because a character dies or appears to have died, it doesn't mean they're not playable in the new game. The whole premise of the game is you're playing as characters who are dead, for the most part.
Oh, interesting. I have to go back as Desmond.
Yeah. Hey, maybe even as Desmond, maybe you're dead from the beginning of the first Assassin's Creed. Maybe you're like an animus within an animus or something,
Whoa, that's kind of crazy talk.
Yeah, did I just blow your mind?
We could just do a whole podcast on the animus.
I think you need to do an Assassin's Creed dedicated podcast, and I think this needs visual aids, and we need a flowchart and stuff, because this is getting crazy.
Well, we'll plan it out. I'll get some Assassins fans together. Canadian Borders, I'm a big Assassins fan too. Him and I were talking about on the last podcast of like pirate assassins. They were all like, "Arr!" I'm getting all excited for it. But I already can feel with this new assassin, Edward, that he's even way more badass than Ezio ever was. And I just want to hear him talk. Because the big thing with Ezio with my wife, she has a video game crush, and Ezio is her video game crush, and it's all about his voice. He's handsome and everything, but it's an Italian accent. So I want to hear what this guy sounds like, and he's the first blonde one too, interesting enough. And there's a little bit of outcry on like, why isn't it a woman?
Well, it's interesting, because they're usually pretty historically accurate, right? They're at least historically observant, the Assassin's Creed series, right? So it'll be interesting to see what his lineage is and how that works out.
So, Edward is definitely Connor's grandfather and Haytham Kenway's dad.
Well, yeah, in terms of like his bloodline, but I'm thinking more like in terms of his accent and just his cultural heritage.
Oh, I thought he was British, but maybe not. So
he could be from like the British West Indies or something, right?
It'd be interesting as more stuff gets revealed.
At the time, the British Empire was all over the place, so he could have all kinds of crazy accents.
Yeah, I could go on Assassins forever.
Well, speaking of Assassins, what are you thinking of the new Watch Dogs?
Indifferent. I want to play it. Like I want to demo it. It looks cool. It looks like it could be a lot of fun, but I'm just not 100% sold on it. There's nothing emotionally capture me yet for me playing games. Yeah,
Right,
but I like the emotional experience, and I'm not getting that quite yet. I'm not.
No, but we're talking about the what if. What if it's a tie-in with Assassin's Creed?
Oh,
What if you hack the Animus? What if the hacker in the future age or the current age doesn't deal with blades, but they deal with hacking? Right? Like you're a digital assassin, effectively.
that would be pretty cool.
I mean, because it seems to share a lot of the themes and kind of elements of the Assassin's Creed series.
I never thought about it that way. Now I got to think about it that way.
Yeah, did I just blow your mind again?
Watch like
Twice.
my mind. It's the Podcrash Blowing Mind edition. Wow, Watch Dogs possibly being assassins.
I told you I liked my crazy theories.
I'm gonna have to think about that one. We'll make that a point. Well, there's a lot of people are saying there's a lot of similarities that I shouldn't say similarities that they pulled a lot from Far Cry 3, possibly into Assassin's Creed 4 a little bit. I was watching I forget the name of the segment that IGN does, but they kind of broke it down, the trailer of a Black Flag, and they saw that Edward was using a telescope, a spy scope there, a spyglass, as they would put it, and it's kind of similar to how they would use that spyglass to look at islands, look at other ships, to do kind of a quick analysis. And I haven't played Far Cry 3, but I'm told that there is some kind of gameplay mechanic that kind of does that, where it analyzes different parts of the islands and tactical advantage. And they mentioned some things that, well, that's very Far Cry 3-esque, and the swimming underneath water in the trailer, that's a first for Assassins, because if you look in the background underneath the water, there's a sunken pirate ship. Or not necessarily a pirate ship, but there's a sunken ship on there, and it looks like that you could possibly explore that ship while being underneath water, looking for certain things that you may need to complete quests. I'm like, that is really, really cool if you can do that. You down a ship and you go down there and you go to loot it. And if you look in the battle segment of the trailer, that Edward's going across on the rope, but if you look at all the other people, they're throwing grappling hooks, and it looks like you can board that ship at any time, given the right opportunity that you have to do to certain checks, things like that. You'll board it, and the whole mission is if you go kill the captain of the ship, you can take that ship and you can possibly take it to your fleet. And you know how in the other Assassin's Creed games where you can build up your city, well, you're kind of building up your ship and you're training your shipmates. You're like they're like your new assassins. So you would have your assassin team that would be with you, and these guys follow you around and you train them up and level them up. I've looked at it. My wife catches me looking at it. I probably looked at it like 10, 11 times, just looking at it, looking for new things all the time. I'm like, what are they going to do? They're looking for little into the game.
I mean, that's what excites me, right? Like, new graphics are fine and all, but those kind of new gameplay ideas, the new things that are all of a sudden possible, just really excite me.
Well, it seems that the dual-wielding cutlass is kind of like their tomahawk from Assassin's Creed 3. And the 4 guns, it looks like you'll be able to just upgrade over time. So obviously they'll deck it in the CGI video. But
I want a blunderbuss. I gotta get a blunderbuss.
Have you seen Looper?
No.
There's a blunderbuss in it, and the Looper, the Loopers use it. And I really thought the movie was really made you think. Watch it. It's a movie that will make you think about what would you do to save your family? What would you do to save millions of people? Would you kill one child if it saved millions of people, or your wife, or things like that? It just makes you think really, really deep. What would you do?
Right. Well, back to the idea of what would you do, and making you think. I want to go back to that idea I had with Watch Dogs. Are you familiar with Tommy Westphal?
Nothing springing.
Probably not, yeah. Okay, so there was a TV series called St. Elsewhere. Tommy Westphal was a character. This character was an autistic child in the show. And at the final episode of the show, it was revealed that the whole TV series was basically Tommy Westphal's dream. And this was an NBC show at the time, right? And the problem with that episode was that characters from St. Elsewhere appeared in other NBC shows, because at the time they did a lot of crossovers and, characters jumping from show to show, right? So you might see a character from Cheers in St. Elsewhere, for example. So what that means is if all of St. Elsewhere was in Tommy Westphal's dream, that means all these other NBC shows we're in the same dream, right? So it creates this expanding universe where once something links to it, it's infected by the idea of it's being in this one character's dream. It's a multiverse, right? That was kind of one of the earliest multiverses we got to see.
That's crazy. I'm pulling up on Wikipedia right now on my phone and just looking at it, and it goes, the St. Elseworld writer Tom Fontana was quoted as saying, "Someone did the math once, and something like 90% of all television took place in Tommy Westfall's mind." God,
Yeah, it's crazy.
I want to watch that now. I should see if it's
And
next week.
that even links up to movies and stuff like that. So I'm thinking, what if that happens with games? What if we have like Watch Dogs and the Tom Clancy series and the Assassin's Creed series? What if that all somehow happens in the same universe?
That's crazy. Blowing my mind.
I know, crazy stuff can start to happen now, right?
But yeah, well, Watch Dogs. Well, I can certainly see it being a modern day Assassin's Creed. Hey,
Like, what if you play the new Splinter Cell and there's like a reference to the Assassins in there? There's just too many possibilities. Yeah, I mean, I even like that when you see any games where you see like different characters from different games kind of get together.
It's like
I start to think about that idea and them all getting together. It's crazy.
It's like, what if Smash Brothers and PlayStation All-Stars are real and they're just meeting up to fight?
I know. Like, what does that mean, right? What ramifications does this have?
Can you imagine if Nintendo, if like the Wii U and everything completely utterly fails and they just become a game developer for other systems, and you'd have like PlayStation All Stars versus.
Oh yeah, like with Sega and Sonic. Yeah. Oh, and it still weirds me out seeing Sonic and Mario together in the same game. It's just unnatural.
Yeah,
We grew up in an age where that was like.
They're enemies, damn it.
Yeah, it's literally red versus blue, right? Like, come on.
The original red versus blue.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gave a lot to think about. I'm going to bring some of these talking points to the gang when we record next and go, me and Rajio were talking about this. What do you guys think? Type of deal.
Speaking of talking points, Kirby wanted me to ask you a very specific question.
He says the most important question is, I already mentioned to you, where's Audi's limited edition Tomb Raider controller? And the answer to that, Audi, is at Best Buy, Future Shop, EB Games, Walmart. Take your pick. And I believe that's a wrap. And yeah, it was nice chatting with you. Hopefully we can get you on one where the whole gang is here. But
yeah, I'd love that.
Got to talk about some stuff. Jen has a hole in her roof. Kirby's at soccer practice. Sean's watching his kids. And Devin, I don't think you've ever... he's T-Monkey or Toki Monkey on...
Oh, I remember that name, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've been lurking on the forums for a while, right? So I know a lot of those guys from way back. So when you guys set up the new forums, I was happy to see all those names popping back up.
This concludes our first COG Arcade Showcase. Follow us on Twitter at the COG Arcade, myself at Johnny Zio, Jen is at Jen Dingle, and Kirby is at Kirby_Y. You can also follow the Xbox Canada community, and you can also follow Raj at Rajit. We are also on Facebook.com/GameCanadian. Of course, there's the websites, CanadianOnlineGamers.com, www.GameCanadian.com, and if you love your Xbox, be sure to check out Xbox.ca as well to get involved with the community. Please subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave comments so we can get better. Check out YouTube.com/GameCanadian and look under the COG Arcade playlist. If listening to this on iTunes or Podbean is not the thing for you, we have that available now. With that in mind, send in any questions, topics you want to hear us talk about, and really, thanks for listening.